Hey guys, welcome back, team players. Super crazy times we're living in here now. Free agency is officially upon us in 2 minutes. We heard all these things are going to happen. They're not going to happen. Most of them are going to happen unless you want to be in Baltimore, which no one wants to be in right now. So interesting, fun times. Free agency's afoot. And we're going to be doing another draft like always, guys, getting this thing ready to go. About to fire one up for y'all. So, Bob, with that being said, what do you want to cover here off the interesting start?
We are live. You got the 10th pick. I got the 6th pick. Just a couple of things on news and notes. WFN, welcome. There's been some interesting moves. And I put out a poll the other day when we couldn't go live because of other things. Talk about the things that are the most interesting in terms of the free agent moves. Nothing too crazy happening today. A lot of things went down so far yesterday. The two things to note from me today was that Chig signed with Washington. We had suspected Chig as being an option back in probably February. And then we kind of turned our attention toward Njoku as being an option there. They needed to add a piece at tight end. That is really interesting to me because he's
where did Njoku go?
Nowhere yet. A couple of the big balls that we for some player capital that we need to go didn't move yet. But the Chig signing is really interesting, Joe. He's not a guy that really is super consequential, but you're going to see him being drafted more now just because he will probably be the starting tight end. Another piece that I talked to you about yesterday was that Patrick Ricard, the fullback for the Ravens, ended up going to the Giants. And I have a lot of opinions about that, but I want to hear your opinion about that in general as it pertains to a guy like Cam Skattebo, who did not get a Ken Walker signing, might climb back up people's boards. How do you feel about that?
So it's really interesting what Harbaugh's doing up there at the end of the day. As I just realized, guys, my mic wasn't in front of me. It's really interesting what Harbaugh does there. Is Ricard is a one-function player. He is run blocking, and that's all that he does. And Skattebo just wants to run into a wall. That's all he does. So to me, it says they're going to be very obvious in what they're going to do. The number one thing it does to me is it implies he wants to run a very watered down version of Baltimore's offense, which to me is time to buy Dart. Because that's what this sounds like, is he wants to go do pistol like he did with Lamar, and Dart is now fully on my menu. That's my big takeaway from this, is he's going all in to rerun the Baltimore offense. And the ironic part is everyone who could run that offense in Baltimore is leaving. They don't have a line anymore. So that's my biggest takeaway of that. Is I'm not sure I'm loving Neighbors as much as I was, because I think they're going to be more run-centric than anyone wants. So that all in, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so, I think that when we consider a lot of things here, I'm going to go Taylor over JSN there. When we looked at that decision, it kind of, and speaking of, that move specifically, it's a move that's going to fly under the radar and people are not going to pay it much attention. But it is actually pretty important, right? Similarly, the move of one of our favorite guys for free agency, Romeo Doubs, to the Patriots happened just yesterday. And so that move really sets up for, and I know you've been loving on the Dobbs a lot over the last 2 years and what his skill set could be. Assumedly, they're most likely going to also try to go after another wide receiver. But if they don't, how do you feel about the general back stack that you've been getting? Have gotten, but the general back stack of the May v. Romeo Doubs, Kayshon Boutte, because with the signing of Doubs, Kayshon Boutte flew backwards on the board significantly. How do you feel about that makeup there? Because that ultimately, they're probably going to sign somebody else, but that's a huge underrated move. And you can see Ken Walker, another big free agency piece, Joe, just pulled up to 15, which is definitely where his closing.
Yeah, I pulled him up to 15.
So just talk to us a minute. How do you feel about that in general? With Romeo
about
Doubs and
Romeo in New England. So the thing
yeah.
that arced out Romeo.
For art thou Romeo?
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred him in Buffalo, obviously, but they went and got DJ. So when you're looking at Romeo moving the needle in New England.
Joe, I do want to interrupt you for a moment. Colston Loveland was the first tight end off the board. Colston Loveland was the first tight end off the board.
That's bad.
Wild.
That's just bad baseball right there.
Somebody might
get
both and Bowers. Watch out. Watch out.
Watch out, baby.
But crazy.
So, Bob, when we look at New England, I want to point this out, and this is not meant to be a haterade sauce, but the one thing we have to recognize is that not all growth is linear. And in fact, in most cases, in the NFL especially, it's not. They had the softest schedule ever last year, including the playoffs. And it is a very real circumstance that is not going to come around to pass again. In fact, it's almost statistically impossible. So while I like the concept of him catching more passes there, he'll be more productive in New England than he was in Green Bay. I'm not flying him up the board.
Right.
I think he's probably now the most stable New England pass catcher to have. But I do think that New England in general is probably going to have a significant step back, which probably means less emphasis on the running game, more emphasis upon explosives, which Booty still provides. I think that there's a real chance when it's all said and done that he still ends up being better than last year, but he's not going to be anywhere near the top 10 of receivers. I think that's how I'm looking at Roman. And in terms of passing yards, I don't think Drake May is going to be either.
Yeah, I fully don't expect him to be, but I think for the price that we're currently paying for Drake May and the price that we're currently paying for Romeo Doubs, it was kind of the same price we were paying for Drake May and Stephon Diggs. So it's like, it's not very much different, but it has potential. But I honestly, one of the biggest moves that I think is flying under the radar from a fantasy perspective is when we look at the move of Mike Evans, right? Not so much what's going to happen in San Francisco. We can talk about that in a moment, but what's going to happen in Tampa. One of the things that we see here from Tampa is that now moving on from Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans, we have to understand, is a huge threat in the red zone, right? And now those targets are going to be redistributed within the framework of the entire team, right? Bucky Irving going in the 4th round really speaks a lot about how people are going to be viewing Tampa Bay in the next couple of weeks here, because for the longest time, Bucky was second, third round, most prominently in the 3rd round, and he's seen a switch. He's seen a switch with Travis Etienne, with Travis Etienne's situation becoming more clear and Bucky's situation becoming less clear. But we look at it and we say, okay, targets have opened up in Tampa. Their offensive line was really hurt last year. Baker Mayfield is going to be, we hope, healthy this year. I just took Emeka Egbuka there. Mike Evans goes right after. But the targets are going to be redistributed. We have Egbuka, we have McMillan, we have Godwin, and we still have Cade Otton and Bucky. So there is going to be a decent target competition there, but it feels like the framework is there for Egbuka to succeed. Joe, talk to us a little bit about what you feel on Egbuka and maybe some of these other guys that are going in the 4th round here.
So looking at first of all, I love Egbuka. I mean, he just skyrocketing to grow, and I was debating pulling him up to my pick there where I took Ladd. I'm just infatuated with what the Chargers offense could be with with a crazy mastermind there. I hate him as a person, but as a head coach, as a coordinator, he's very good.
Wow, double quarterback.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Be interested how that
but
plays out.
When we're looking strictly at that group of Williams, Adams, Burton, Evans, and Buka, Wilson, I don't think it's in the right order. But I think that Mbuka clearly belongs in that group, and Evans might even get pulled when we come around here. I think Evans is going to end up in a third. AJ Brown should slip into the fourth. And
you think Evans will go in the third? You think Evans will get pulled?
I think Evans is going to continue to grow, especially as people get more worried and realize that, hey, Kittle's not that healthy. And if that keeps remaining to be the case.
Did you see that? That guy just took Mark Andrews. That was real weird.
I have no idea what's going on right now. You took Scadaboo, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You go 4 running backs in the first 5 rounds. Oh, Bob, I'd love to see you growing up like this.
Well, so here's my mentality. So you guys, if you've been watching us for a long time, you know we always try different strategies. We're not locked in to one thing or the other. And one of the things that I have recently
locked into not caring about 150 max and doing best about today. We are locked into that.
One of the things I have noticed, Joe, and you've noticed this too over the course, that once free agency starts to clear up a little bit, the room for running backs is less and less. And what I mean by that is that there are always going to be those Tajay Spearses and those Jordan Masons in the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds. Those guys are going to stay there until their situation drastically changes. Like Mason's going to get crushed a little bit because Aaron Jones just re-signed. But the situations, take, for example, the guys that I just took and the guys that you just took. Those situations right now, as we see it, are very clear. Travis Etienne was brought in to be a bell cow. Yes, Alvin Kamara is still there, but he was brought in to be the bell cow. They're paying him like that. Cam Scadaboo, they just said to me by signing Patrick Ricard, they said, I want to run the ball. I want to protect Dart. I want to protect Scadaboo. Let's do that. Saquon Barkley, they have made no inclination and no moves to do any of the wiser, and they kind of want to just keep that team together. Saquon's a guy who had a down season last year, but he's a top 5 kind of running back when he's on his A game. And Jonathan Taylor, we know that Daniel Jones is going to be signed for 2 more years. And when Daniel Jones was playing and healthy, that team looked electric. So you look at it and you say, okay, well, I'm walking into these 4 situations, and I might end up with only 6 running backs. And I'm going to have to hammer wide receiver and tight end and take a quarterback in here. And we're going to see how that works, right? You ended up getting DJ Moore. Love that. Dak being pulled up to the 6 because he doesn't want to lose out on the double stack. This guy's the Brady over here overstacking. Perfectly fine.
He's completely overstacking. He took both Eagles and both Cowboys receivers and then their respective quarterbacks. He's just going to be taking every running back.
So I'm just going to click Christian Watson there because he is an up and down player with injury history. But I do think that from a best ball standpoint, he is a great option in the 6th round. You see a couple stacking things happening right now. Colston Loveland being paired up with Caleb. You see RJ Harvey flying down the board. David Montgomery went from basically non-existent in some drafts to being drafted in the 5th round. And that's a point to bring up, Joe, is that Bashal Tutin, David Montgomery flew up the board. And I'm not saying that either one of those players is going to have a bad season. But one of the things to be careful about is closing line value. A lot of content creators out there and a lot of articles will talk to you about closing line value. And it's really important to think about.
You got to pay attention to
it. David Montgomery in the 5th, he could have a great season and really score a lot of points. But there's going to be someone that has him and Terry McLaurin, right? There's going to be someone that has Bashal Tutin in the 9th round and Trevion Henderson as well. So and you see Alec Pierce kind of just staying where he was at before, a little bit higher, but a great option there. So it's just important to keep your head on a swivel about some of those things. and just keep yourself aware. So I'm going to take Michael Wilson. The reason for Michael Wilson is clear. They still have Jacoby Brissett. I don't see that much criminally changing. We talked last week about the possibility that those targets will be distributed way different if Brissett were to move on, or if something crazy were to happen there. I still think that Wilson could have put up numbers to be relevant in best ball, especially down here in the 7th round. While I wouldn't want to take him anymore in the 6th. What?
This guy has to take it back. Yeah.
Yeah. The Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah. But like, I love the DK pick at 82 because he's kind of climbed down. So like, just talking a little bit about values.
So part of the reason I like Metcalf is this, is that it went from a possibly the worst passing designed offense
to the best
in the league.
One of the best, maybe.
To now having a good offensive mind in front of it. If it just becomes average, Metcalf becomes a 1,000-yard receiver. And he's now in a spot in this lineup where I'm just juggling people week to week. You know, he's the 4th receiver as a 7th round pick. I mean, it's what you want when you do with a 3-receiver start. If you can be someone like Metcalf, it's a great start. You can make the argument I should have taken a tight end instead, but you know, I like the upside of Metcalf. And there's still people out there like Kittle that can pick up 2 rounds from now to give me late upside.
You'll have the availability to do something like that. I wouldn't necessarily fully concern myself or be worried about that right now.
Oh, I'm not. I love these. My flex is a fight between Kyron and Metcalf every week. I mean, you'll never build that in a DFS.
You would hope that is continually that will be your availability.
Well, you have to act like that. Like you don't take 3 running backs and have to worry about a contingency plan for them. You take 3 running backs, you're in on 3 running backs.
Hey, your boy Jackson Dart's
on this roster.
Hey, your boy Jackson Dart's on the board, Joe.
I know. It's who I'll be taking. I'm taking him or Herbie because I'm getting one or the other.
That's fair. Herbie. Okay. There goes Dart. So you said this is Herbie.
Yeah, I'm
then.
taking Herbie. I wanted Dart, but I love Herbie. I really am in on the Chargers. I'll probably throw another one on late.
I don't think it would be a bad idea to throw Trey Harris on. Maybe.
Yeah, I love Trey Harris.
Damn it. I wanted Tucker Kraft so bad. God dang it. I really like Tucker Kraft. Yeah. Nikes. All right. Who do we want to get here? Oh, no. Man. All right, we're just
all your tight ends are going. Look at this tight end run.
You know, I got Murderer's Row there, right? Oh, so we see Gainwell pumped up there. Another one, Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle's situation has changed. We would assume that this situation for him is going to be nice. You know, going into Pittsburgh, where we assume that, or the assumption is that he's going to take over some work on early downs. And Jaylen Warren can maybe move into a role that he can be productive as a pass catcher in the Gainwell role. People are assuming that something like that's happened. I'm not saying that it's definitively going to happen, but I do think it's interesting now. I have a couple of teams that we drafted earlier before free agency began, where I have both Rico and Jaylen Warren. I have Rico, Warren, and Pat Freiermuth, which I don't love. And then there's one team that's Jaylen Warren, DK, Rico, and Pat Freiermuth and Michael Pittman, which is really weird. Because I was not.
Hey, I'm not saying the Steelers offense is something you should invest in, but I'm also not saying that having a piece of it's a bad idea either.
No,
I mean, they are in a division where 2 of the 4 teams don't have a defense.
Yeah, but I wasn't. You can't presume that all of them were going to go there, which is like a wild.
True, but again, when 2 of the 4 teams don't have a defense, because Baltimore's defense is in shreds right now, it's problem town. Like the Steelers should benefit from that.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully speaking, I'm going to take another running back here. I wanted to take a quarterback, but I think that the value of Tyler Algier there is going to be something to keep our eyes on. His stock has not climbed very high. And I think that if you take a look at early ADPs from previous tournaments, or just from earlier tournaments, or like if you have drafted way earlier in the off season, there isn't much of a closing line differential yet on a guy like Tyler Algier. Just as an example, one of our earlier drafts from this offseason, and Tyler Algier was going at pick 120. And so you get him now at pick 102, and it's not that different. You see what I'm saying? So I am going to lose out on a quarterback connection that I wanted to get. I lost out on Jordan Love for sure. But I am going to probably hit into some quarterbacks here and then just kind of work around tight end for a little bit. But like,
can I just go on a little bit of a rant?
Yeah, go for it.
How stupid is Jimmy Garoppolo? The guy was basically handed a starting job spot, and he got fighting over nickel and dimes. What the hell are you doing?
I mean,
like, are you serious?
It's a very relevant question.
With the Mississippi Mud Flap, you would have easily had that spot.
It's a very relevant question. I mean, and it to that extent,
sure, it's relevant. It's just annoying me, so I had to say it out loud.
But to that extent, it's also why I'm not truly that worried now about McBride or Michael Wilson or even Marvin Harrison, is because Minshew and Brissett love to chuck it.
Oh yes, they do.
So like, if I'm in Chucker's paradise, then I want a piece of that action. And while I don't want to pay the early price of Trey McBride, I do want to get into that. So we're going to take Worthy here. My quarterback just went, but that's fine.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he get hurt at the end of the year? In Kansas City? Didn't he get hurt before he isn't he an injured player just signed?
Minshew Mania?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. Let's look it up. Week 16. Yep.
What was the injury again?
It was a non-displaced tibial plateau fracture that they thought was going to be was an ACL. So that was a big scare. Man, I've been left at the back end of some runs, and I am not a fan. Not a fan.
Hey, has Diggs been signed yet?
No, he has not. He's not been signed. And also, just want to bring up this idea again. We were talking a little bit earlier about closing line value. Talk to us, Joe, about how you feel about a guy like Xavier Worthy, because he is currently being buried in ADP. And I know he didn't show much last year, but is there a pathway for more?
For out of Worthy? Absolutely, there's a pathway for us, pathway for a lot more. The thing with Worthy is that his shoe truly didn't drop yet, because Worthy comes down to Rice about how productive will Worthy be. And that's what I need to find out. And until I know that answer, I can't do anything. Look at Charbonnet jumping up 2.5 rounds now that Walker is out. I think that's a great pickup. Absolutely great pick.
There's to that point too. There's been some news that they could also potentially go after a guy like Rachaad White, and that could be a fantastic option. I know you don't like.
They're going to be linked to every running back now.
True, But the question is, Joe, do they go after a rookie or do they go after a vet?
Well, the only real vet that's available via trade is now Benson. I can't think of a free agent one that's worth having unless I'm missing someone obvious.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's the availability of the free agents is Pollard might get into free agency like we've discussed potentially. And then Connor is signed, but again, Alvin Kamara, they signed him. Maybe they have the option of trading him with now ETN in there. And maybe it's definitely closing up. So it's something to be aware of. It's definitely something to be aware of. All right. So another QB goes there. I'm just going to have to do this. I don't like doing this, but I need to get
Bob, you're living in a world you don't like.
I need to get something on the board. Well, all the quarterbacks kept going like right before I wanted to take them. And there's a couple of options on the board right now. And I do want to try to get at least one of them, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll wait.
I just want to throw this out here, and this might be wish casting. I completely admit it. Trey Benson in either Houston or Baltimore is like my dream. He's a perfect fit for both of them. Big guy, run it whole, run fast. Don't teach him a lot. It's Arizona after all. They didn't learn a lot out there. Just whole, run, go. Treat him like a 4-year-old. And that guy is like the closest in the league of the young guys, like King Henry. And that's why I think he could be a fit in Baltimore. And then Houston just needs a running game that's stable.
So who do you like more out of that Arizona running room now, Algier or Benson?
I still think Benson should be the one, and then they re-signed Connor. I have no idea what the hell they're doing out there. It's like most things in Arizona. I just don't get it. But you can make an argument that for what they are, he's better than Kyron. He's just not in a situation where he ever gets the love. So I really like Benson's game. You just got to recognize what it is. It's power that's going to not give you any elusiveness. He's not going to run around, and he's not going to innovate. That's totally okay. But the reality is that, that's not a fit for most people who want to draw up their running backs going fun, sexy routes and looking all cool. He would never work for a Josh McDaniels offense.
There goes DJ. Daniel Jones.
I was hoping DJ was going to slip back to me there.
I was actually hoping he would come back at 150. I was hoping he would come back to 150. I almost took him at 139.
I literally was debating where I took Benson at 35. So same page there.
He's where, I mean, these later ones now, it's definitely
Jonathan Brooks going up. Oh man. I am so torn about Jonathan Brooks by what the Dowdell signing I'm taking away from it. I think you re-signed Dowdell if you think that
why are you saying his name like that? Dowdell?
I don't know. I can't say Rico's name right now. Right?
Just call him Rico. Just call him Rico.
Just call him Rico. I'm probably a better call. like if you thought Rico was, you were re-signed Rico if you didn't believe in Brooks.
Yeah.
And Brooks was the dude. I'll take the dude at this year's draft. It's the first time I've taken Mendoza in all of our drafts.
Hey, he's
sure how I feel about this.
That's the price you need to pay. Before he was going maybe like 10th round. Let me look up an earlier draft here.
I won it, Hunter.
In earlier drafts, he was going 10th round. So he's fallen 3 rounds based upon the assumption that that they're not going to bring in somebody else based on the assumption that they're going to bring in somebody else to start the year.
Who is that person going to be then?
They don't know. They don't know. We don't know yet.
Jimmy G's the only one left. Or Cousins?
It could be anybody.
I don't think it is.
All right. So, Shaheed, he got re-signed. he's still not growing in value a lot, which is really interesting to me.
I thought the value in Shaheed was him going somewhere else. I actually think him staying in Seattle hurts his value.
How so?
Because he's mostly there as a punt returner and a kickoff returner. They don't throw him the ball enough.
Well, I'm taking him right here because I do have Sam Darnold, so I am going to take him.
Yeah, that part makes sense. But Darnold doesn't push the ball enough for my favoring to like him. Is the flat out answer of it.
I mean, he has potential. That I think there was an article or a snap or something that suggested that he wanted to have his first 1,000-yard season with Seattle. So I mean, it's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, you go into DraftKings here and you see that week 8 last year, he went 9 for 12 for 75 yards. Week 9, 5 for 9 for 68 yards. So, I mean, it's within his purview to have a good game-breaking type of game. But it is definitely one of the things that doesn't happen often. And I see you picked up Brandon Ayuk, who's another guy that we talked about a lot, who has a similar kind of case to be made as Shaheed, where these two guys, when healthy, can potentially lift the top off of some defenses. And they're down here as those boom busts. And you can see Kayshon Boutte, Joe, 170. Okay. This is a 2-round drop from early ADP. With the signing of Dubs, this is a 2-round drop. And the impending signing of A.J. Brown. I agree. That all of them have to really, if you want them to be successful, Sam Darnold's really got to push it, like Joe was saying there.
And I just don't see him doing that. He just won a Super Bowl without pushing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just for the gang, we'll get a little bit of Barner with Darnold action too, a little back end Seattle. But I agree with you, Joe, wholeheartedly, in that it's going to be something that Sam Darnold has to do. He's capable of it. I mean, we see the game.
But again, he doesn't have to. He just showed.
He doesn't have to win, but he might have to this year without Ken Walker. So there's a little bit of speculation there that if they are just rolling with Sharps being such an inefficient runner, if they don't end up signing someone as explosive as Ken Walker was, that they're going to need to push the ball.
All right, so I just pulled Pacheco up to the 16. And here's the entire rationale. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near as good as Monty. But I need a 5th running back. And I know at least he will be on the field. All these other backs here are wish casting. I know he will be on the field.
I hate that for you. I'm sorry.
You know what? You invest your first 3 picks in stud backs in Cook, Walker, and Kyren.
There goes Chig.
Better never touch the field anyway.
All right, we're getting a little Geno action here, Joe. Little dirty Geno.
Yeah, again, there's no one they're bringing in who's going to be better than Geno. Like, this whole, he's not starting day 1 is crap.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not taking Geno often, and he is a guy that was previously going undrafted or in the 20th round. So talking about closing line value, when we reference a guy like Geno Smith, is that down here in the 16th through 20th rounds, we have to be aware that every guy down here is a dart throw. It is there's lots of questions. And when we see that, again, looking at the quarterbacks, Penix, McCarthy, Sanders, Rodgers, Tua are the top guys left at the respective position. You could go double Atlanta quarterbacks with Penix and Tua. I do happen to have a team like that, which is really weird. Again, not expecting that something like that was going to happen. But he's not the worst of the bunch down here if he ends up being the starter full time. He's definitely not the best, I'll tell you that.
No, he's definitely not the best. I can agree with that. He's definitely not the best.
I'm also very surprised that the guy who owns Garrett Wilson. I mean, this team right to the opposite side of me, this JSN, Drake London, Rice, and Garrett Wilson team, where their first running back is Henderson, and then they go to Krosky, Merritt, Marks, Aaron Jones, and Dylan Sampson. It's definitely got some floaters in there that could be really intriguing. But there is some detriments, and we've talked about this a lot, where if you start 3 of a specific position, like we did at running back, or 4 straight wide receivers, and yes, all of those wide receivers could hit your lineup, and there's a likelihood that all 4 of those guys will hit that guy's lineup. Absolutely. But also, I love Mason Taylor, man. I love Mason Taylor. Went right. Well,
Gino's throwing the ball now.
I know. That's why I was going to do a little back end, little Gino Mason Taylor action, but the guy took him, so I'm going to take Ferguson there. But the thing to note, what I was saying is that when you build so heavy in the one position, it doesn't necessarily necessitate that you have to overtake at that position either. Like, you have Garrett Wilson, you went after Mekhi Lemon and Chris Godwin. He's probably in the next 3 picks, he might take 1 more wide receiver, right? He's probably going to float up a couple more running backs as well. Whereas you are probably going to get maybe 1 more running back, if that.
Oh, no, I'm not taking another running back. I got 5. I'm enough.
Another tight end and a quarterback, probably.
Yeah. That'll be my last 3 picks. Quarterback, tight end, and a best on the board, or one of my dark horses. I'll pick out which one I want.
A dark horse. I like that. I like that mentality. I am going to take one of my guys here, though. It's disappointing I didn't get that. Who I wanted at tight end. I can take that, though, if that happens. You know, I got to ask you this, Joe. What's going on with Evan Ingram in Denver? What are they going to do with Evan Ingram in Denver? We talked about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago with a couple of viewers.
Let me ask you a question that I've asked this whole time. Tell me, not counting Taysom Hill, tell me 1 tight end that Sean Payton has ever used.
I mean, fair point.
And that's the answer. Ingram is way too talented for how little they use him.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with that for the most part.
And you can't count Taysom Hill because he was a gadget guy.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, oh man, I hate that I want.
I just pointed that out.
Yeah, I want that to. I really want Evan Ingram to be good. It's like kind of like how we feel about Kate Otten on the show, right? Is that like Kate Otten has the skill set. You want
Kate Otten to be good.
Kate Otten has the skill set to be really good. I think, like I said, I think his situation got really good with Mike Evans leaving. I think that Kate Otten in the 18th round here could be the tight end that really climbs up boards, or really pays off. Not climbs up, but really pays off on the back end. And you see Theo Johnson go. Theo Johnson was being drafted pretty early. I have a lot of Theo Johnson in these early contests.
Hey, did they cut Najee?
Yeah, he's a free agent.
So okay, they did. Okay.
Yeah. And with that, like, you know, with likely signing with when Theo Johnson there likely signing, it does hurt Theo Johnson's outcome. But we do know that Harbaugh's not afraid to use 2 tight ends. So like,
no, he's not.
In the long
run, we also
run,
know that Theo Johnson doesn't do anything ever, so there's that.
Well, I mean, last year he had 45 receptions and 5 touchdowns. I wouldn't necessarily say that's nothing when it comes to tight ends. I mean, that's pretty much average.
Yeah, you're right. For those 5 weeks, he scores a touchdown. He gives you something. Penix finally goes in the 19th.
I mean, again, I'm not shocked by that by any stretch of the imagination. How you feeling about Keon Coleman now that DJ Moore's there?
The DJ Moore second round pick for DJ Moore tells you everything you need to know how they feel about Keon Coleman. Everything.
Yeah. You know, and
I guess also looks like Mac Jones isn't getting traded now either.
Wow, it's unfortunate. I have quite a nice Mac Jones kind of collection there. All right, we're gonna take my boy here. We're gonna take Jalen. I could talk to you about why Jalen Wright is a good enough pick in the 19th round.
I think he's a great 13th round investment. I think Vele as a number 2 receiver should not be going in the 19th round. You can make an argument these receivers are going to be the number 2 receiver down there.
The assumption is that they're not going to leave that position unused. Right. Yeah, Jimmy Graham would be the only.
ETN says they're drafting a receiver at 9. That's what I took away from that.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, that fridge is going to be the death of me. That is a
best flex on the board. What do we got?
Awful sound. I'm going to take a back end tight end here. Who are you going to go with? I might even go Evan Ingram. Who knows?
I might go Coleman.
Keon,
no receivers. There's no running backs left I want to touch.
So Knox is coming back to Buffalo. Okay, that's interesting to note. Where did he go? Where did Bellinger go?
This is such a tough call. Like Keenan Coleman to me is the click, but I want to have team diversity. I'm gonna go my off the board guy. Luke McCaffrey's a guy I'm just obsessed with. I know.
Yeah.
I was debating Bayshall Smith or whatever the hell his first name is.
Brashard Smith?
Brashard, yeah.
Why were you considering Brashard?
Because I do think he's the number 2. He is a little electric scat back. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he played receiver, not running back in college. So yeah. There's a lot of things to like about that potential there.
I'm just going to do it. I'm pulling the trigger on Evan Ingram. I don't draft Evan Ingram at all, Jim. At all. But I don't know. Like, I really want to believe that there's potential there. Really want to do it. Let me just 31 years old, 31-year-old tight end. I mean, how old's Travis Kelce now? Ancient.
Kelsey's done his last year no matter what. Will Howard going in the last round.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Back end Will Howard.
You know, Bob, I got to tell you, I think I love this team when my weakest player is either Harrison Jr. or Gadsden. I think I like this team stacking it with Herbie. I think I like this team a lot.
Herbie primary Herbie built teams, you know, he's a guy that we have seen throw for 30+ touchdowns, and we
can get you the bonus.
We know that he can get that bonus fairly easily.
It's a health question with Herbie, and more importantly, it's an offensive line health question. I don't think he's losing both tackles this year.
Yeah, and it's interesting to bring that up because there's a group of quarterbacks down here that did get some injuries to the offensive line or offensive linemen retired. That changes the idea behind them. Example, Brock Purdy losing Trent Williams. That's huge, right?
Thank you, Warehouse. Jimmy Graham was a dude that was used. That is won by Peyton.
We look at this, Joe, and you know, again, thoughts about Purdy and Goff. Going in the 9th round, not terrible. Early contests had them going somewhere around there as well, with Goff being maybe a little bit lower depending on where the Amon-Ra owner was drafting. But both of those players are going to experience some offensive line issues this year, unless it's continually addressed in the offseason here and in the rookie draft. When you have a guy like Baker Mayfield was that whole team was injured last year. So we got to hope that gets better. But a player that we've talked about multiple times in Tyler Shough, Tyler Shook going in the 10th round. Now, in these early contests, we all know because you're capable of drafting 3 quarterbacks, that quarterbacks do shoot up the board. But there's a strong likelihood that Shook stays there in that grouping of quarterbacks and doesn't fall down, because that back end play was pretty good. Their offensive line was not terrible, not great. And so there's a lot to like about Shook moving forward. He's easy to stack with. I believe this Andrew Wright's guy took Deshaun Bailey as a back stack. And he's an easy guy to kind of work with. Same with Sam Darnold. And maybe now Cam Ward with Wan'Dale Robinson. There are some quarterbacks that are easier to work with than other quarterbacks. Talk to us a little bit about what quarterbacks that you like that aren't named Justin Herbert or Jackson Dart that are being drafted in this 7th through 11th round.
7th through 11th. So let's put it up here on the screen for y'all.
Yeah. Who are some of the quarterbacks that you like?
Cheaper ones, because I think there's more value. I mean, everyone kind of knows you should be hitting up Purdy. But the one that I think is the one at the bottom of the group who should be closer to the middle or the top is Ward. I think it's very likely you see an acceleration out of Cam Ward this year. Got that sophomore. I'm big on the sophomore jump. You guys already know that. So Cam Ward is a prime candidate there. Kyler shouldn't be touched because he's not going to be starting anywhere. And Purdy's one of these guys that I know he had a good year, but don't think I'm fully invested, although they're clearly a passing offense. They're not even hiding that anymore. I think Stafford is too high. I think Nix is too high. And I think Shook is way too high. I love Shook. I was on the bus so hard, but he ain't a 10th rounder. Let's be real here. He ain't.
But I mean,
score that many points.
When we look though, Joe, at a guy like CJ Stroud and being in the 12th round, it's not that Shook isn't so much a 10th rounder, but my question to you was within that.
Willis should be higher than the 10th too, by the way. Now that he's clearly starting, Willis should be in the.
This is going to change though, Joe, right? So when we get to best ball mania season, when we get to the big contests, because you can't take 3 quarterbacks, there's going to be and everybody from Shook down is most likely going to fall a round or 2.
Well, Goff down, actually. Goff is going to keep slipping and slipping and slipping.
Because you don't have to, right? Yeah. You don't have to take those guys that early because most of the time people are only going to be drafting 2 quarterbacks.
That's right.
So from them on down, once we hit best ball mania season, and you are going to see me click a lot of Daniel Jones. I'm going to be clicking a lot of Daniel Jones. If he stays at this submarine price, and then that even falls one more round down, if I can get a Daniel Jones in the 14th round,
I'm loving it.
And Cam Ward in the 13th round, we'll have to see how that really plays out. But if I could have Cam Ward in the 13th, Daniel Jones.
There's a lot of teams I have that have Cam Ward and Daniel Jones, and they normally feel pretty good.
And Brock Purdy in the 9th, there is probably logistically no reason that I would want to ever take Josh Allen in the 3rd. Because
that's the argument this year. I'm starting off with Cook, Walker, and Kyron. Yeah. That, you don't get that with Josh Allen. And that's stronger than having Josh Allen in here and then no Kyron. Because I got to play Russian roulette on receivers the entire rest of the draft. Ayuk is an all or nothing guy. Trey Harris, likewise. You can make an argument, he's really my guy I love probably way more than I should. Matthew Golden's an all or nothing guy. He didn't score a touchdown during the regular season.
Well, right now he's all or nothing. We don't know what this year will look like.
I think he's going to have a great year. Again, I'm big on the sophomore jump, and the guy was talented. The guy's talented coming out of the steal.
We look at the metrics before we get to family's dynasty deal here. We look at the metrics and we say opportunity, air yards, those are important metrics for wide receiver year over year. And while Golden did not get a lot of opportunities. The opportunities that he did get, he looked like he could be an explosive piece of this offense. There were a couple of games, the Dallas game that ended 40-40. He went 5 for 58, averaged 11 yards per reception. A week against Chicago, 21 yards per reception. Against Denver, 18 yards per reception. So there's a framework here where if those targets are consistent, which you never know out of a LaFleur offense what's going to happen out of the wide receiver grouping. But if those are more consistent, then both him and Jayden Reed. Now, like I said a bunch of times to you earlier, I am out on Jayden Reed in terms of a redraft perspective. But Jayden Reed now is going 10th round. Okay. And he has the potential to go anywhere from 10th round to 11th round. He's a guy without Romeo Doubs that I think does climb up the board just slightly for me in best ball season, just because he has that breakaway skill set that Golden kind of has as well. But he plays a different style, different position, or a different position on the field. But they just have to use those guys. And if they use those guys, they're going to end up in your starting lineup, right? Like,
yeah.
If he gets full usage, Jayden Reed, and if Matthew Golden gets full usage, they're going to end up as starters in your lineup. The majority of the time, they're going to probably end up in your flex. So if you're looking at an 11th, 10th round pick like these guys are, I think that's where I'm at. And, we'll get to that another time. But let's get to the family dynasty deal of the week. He ended up getting Pat Freiermuth, Joe. Sent Debo, Ingram, and the 210 to receive Freiermuth in a mid-looking 2027 second, stockpiling seconds up to 4. I like this idea because I
like that idea too, because what's Debo doing for you?
The thing about getting rid of Debo and getting rid of Ingram to get into a higher 2027 second, because what the plan here is, Joe, is that we are going to be getting these picks to then trade for a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Exactly. Higher. And right now,
and you do those trades during the season.
Yeah. And Debo's nothing at this moment in time because, again,
and I'd argue Ingram's nothing.
But as WFN said here, I do doubt Evan Ingram. I do doubt it.
I doubt his situation, not his talent.
But I did draft him on this team, and we can talk another time about why Evan Ingram is an interesting click at the back end of the 20th round. Not the best pick, but an interesting one. And family said, got here a little late as my kids woke me up to sing happy birthday and open my gifts with me. Hey, it's your birthday. Hey, yo, Joe, it's family's birthday today.
Family man, baby.
I used to collect stuff and then I had a kid. And so now I don't collect things anymore because, but Joe, talking one last point here, before we, if you want to roll off another one, I have time to roll off another one if you want to.
I'm not going to be able to, but if you want to, I'm not going to.
But one point that I want to ask you about, and it's something that we have talked about before. It's in reference to these 15th round and later wide receivers. So if you could go to the 15th round and later. We talked before free agency, and I told you guys that there's a strong likelihood that Jalen Nailor starts to climb up the board, right? He goes from 20th round, 19th round, all the way up to the 17th round. So a two-round jump. Feel that. I feel that. Feel that, family. Well, happy birthday, though, anyway. Always celebrate when you get the chance to. But when we look at these wide receivers, Joe, tell me 5 guys you have your eye on that could potentially escape this 15th through 20th round in Best Ball Mania season if things shake down their way? Who do you think?
Well,
is
Mims
the
is the
most
easiest
likely
one
to
because he's already shown he can do it a bunch.
Say that again?
Mims, because he's shown he can give you multiple touchdown days. You don't have to draw a very fuzzy line to get there. Almanor is a guy, again, I believe that Tennessee's got to jump. They grow up together, a quarterback and receiver. I like that. When we look at the rest of them, they need injury help or situational love. And that's just the way that the rest of this group really is. So there's not that's what the bottom here. Aside from Vele, will be on the field. The rest of them is just kind of hoping. I like the iOS because it's a very pass-happy offense.
Okay, so
but that's
what about
what I'm looking.
All right, well, what about a guy? You spoke a little bit about Mims, but you see in that top left corner 3 Denver wide receivers go.
Yeah, I know. They all go in a group.
Then
because you never know which one it is, but if it's his week, it's an awesome week and he hits your lineup, to answer your original question.
Right. To the original assumption there. And then we see Jerry Jeudy here at pick 177.
Yeah, Judy's rough, man.
Still the starter, not the number 1 option, but still considered wide receiver 1. Not a sexy position, but none of the guys down here are at this moment wide receiver 1s on their team. So this is kind of like a weird territory to be in.
That's just how much you shouldn't love Shedeur.
I get it. And also Malik Washington down here at the 211. We have Malik Willis, who can throw the ball.
Malik Washington is a very interesting pick. I can see him giving you something.
It's a possibility. I mean, like, out of all of these, there's a very good chance that something crazy were to happen. I don't agree with this pick here of Jack Beck. But there are some interesting options here with Jeremy Bernard, Savion Bell. I believe that's Savion Bell or Skylar Bell. Okay, so different. Skylar Bell, and then Kyle Williams also. The room in New England got a little bit less clear for him. Mac Hollins is still going. So, I mean, like, there's some guys here that could probably surprise come Best Ball Mania season. And I just wanted to get your opinion about that, because I know there was a couple of drafts where you also were drafting Ridley. How do you feel about Ridley now? Yeah, Williams in New England is interesting. Let's say that.
Ridley's still a free agent, ain't he?
I believe so. How do you, I mean, do you think he lands in a spot that he could pay off in the 16th round, or do you think he's just kind of dead, like a dead asset here?
I think he's screaming Baltimore's old man who does nothing. And that's the problem with it.
It's a possibility. I'll tell you one guy that I do like, Joe, and that's not named Malik Washington. With the signing of Geno Smith, I really do like the price for Adonai Mitchell. I'm not saying that I want to overdraft Adonai Mitchell, but I am saying it's an interesting way to go about if you did want to stack Geno and you didn't have Garrett Wilson. That Adonai Mitchell.
I mean, he's the number 2, so there's something to that.
It's the Deshaun Vele assumption.
He's also so easy to outdraft. Like it comes April and he's not the number 2 anymore.
I mean, to your point that you always make, though, is that if you go out and get a guy, you want to use the guy. Yes?
No, that's true. Yeah.
So the reason Adonai Mitchell is on this team is the Colts traded picks and Adonai Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. Yep. So is this the case of the Jets wanting to get, like, would you assume asking, saying, hey, we need more than picks, and the Colts just saying, oh, yeah, have Adonai Mitchell? Or do you think this was a framework to say, hey, we need a wide receiver?
Adonai Mitchell was the throw into that trade, Bob. There's no way around that.
I mean, he was a metric boy, metric god there. What's happening, Jamie? We're hoping. We hope we win drafts like this.
That's right.
Yeah, drafting tight ends and quarterbacks around these picks, the wide receivers are mega dice throws. I would agree with that. I mean, one of these guys for a 2-week span is probably going to be hitting your lineup. There's no doubt about that.
That's all you need.
The other point to make is that, it's all you really need. And most people that are drafting wide receivers down here, you can see my board is kind of very colorful today down here in the last couple of rounds.
It is.
I waited a little bit too long on tight end. Honestly, I talked so much about tight ends and missing out on them at the Laporta pick that I forgot to take one. I just forgot.
You're so sad.
Just straight up forgot. But before we go, Joe, I want to get your thoughts on one more player. And it's in kind of a discussion point that we can hit on next week as well. It's the Travis Hunter, Jalen McMillan, Josh Downs grouping of players, where I feel from a metric standpoint, and it's the same way I feel kind of about Adonai Mitchell as well, is that if you give Josh Downs more targets, Josh Downs can be really productive for you. Now, he's not a guy that is going to overtake let's say Tyler Warren in terms of like targets per se, but with the vacated targets of Michael Pittman, everybody is just presuming that Alec Pierce is going to go ahead and get like 10 targets a game when in his career he has not been realistically.
No, the Pittman share will get spread. I think Downs probably the biggest winner from Pittman going.
I correct myself. Alec Pierce did have like 10 targets last year, 8 targets. But like, how do you feel about that in general? Like a Josh
they
Downs
chose him over Pittman. That's just the way that they did. And when I look at it from the totality of it, is I think Downs is the one who benefits. So
I like this family. This is a good trade. Tyreek and Milroe for Geno and a 2027 third rounder. I believe that Milroe just got competition too for no, it was down in Dallas.
Really.
I'm thinking,
it's Miami can't afford competition.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the other one.
But anyway, guys, I got to bounce. Bobby.
Hold on. Wait. Before you go, I'm going to hop off too. Wentz could be a Raider. I did not think about that. Wentz could be the guy before they put Mendoza in.
Then 100% Mendoza will be starting from the first snap of camp until the last snap. I can't believe you made me wait for a Carson Wentz call out. I feel so dirty now.
Maybe I'll take Carson. Maybe I'll take Carson Wentz in the 20th round and see what happens.
Yeah, just as effective as me taking Garoppolo, man.
All right, guys. We'll be back with you. We'll be back with you next week on Monday. Hopefully, we just had a little scheduling snafu on Monday, but we'll be back with you on Monday. We'll be drafting some more. We probably will hit up Underdog on Monday and see what the big board, how the game is changing on the big board as well. So we appreciate everybody joining us. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you for